24 years. I have, during that time, I've been the board and maybe, yeah, I hope not immodestly, one of the state's experts on school finance. I've been a key leader and advocate for 14, and we have the 15th on the ballot this year, local initiatives that have raised more than $3 billion of local tax money for San Francisco's public schools. I'm the only San Franciscan that's ever been president of the California School Boards Association. And when I was president, it was when we passed Prop 30. I was one of the spokespeople who traveled the state getting that passed with the state superintendent of public instruction. I'm endorsed by the last 3 state superintendents of public instruction. And and during the time I've been on the board, I came to the board really as a parent activist and was a public school parent for 22 years. Including maybe 12 to 15 years of the time I was on the school board. And I have been a champion of parent and teacher engagement. I was one of the key architects of the weighted student formula and site-based budgeting, which have put us in the forefront of what the state has done through the local control funding formula, which I was also instrumental in drafting with the governor's office through CSBA. So, and I've also been the person who has mainly been behind a lot of the arts education work that we've done. The Public Education Enrichment Fund was one of the funding measures that we did that have put arts, music, sports, libraries, social workers, nurses, restorative practices, you name it, all the things that school districts can't afford in a state that shamefully underfunds its schools. We still don't have enough money for our schools, so it's a continuous job, which is why we have a bond issue on the ballot this year. We have actually 2 bonds, the state bond and the local bond, both of which need to pass, and I hope you will support. And recently I have been the person who has been behind a move to do something that we call After School for All in San Francisco, which means that within a year, hopefully, this is the 2nd year of implementation, and by the end of this year, or the beginning of the next school year, we should be in the situation that's something I've aspired to for decades, which is that every child in a public elementary school in San Francisco will have an after-school program available to them at their own school, if they and their parents want that. We've already done away with the waiting list. We are about halfway toward having each elementary school have a single after-school provider, whether it's the school district through our Excel program or a community-based provider. We don't mandate that because we want schools to make their own decisions. But this is a big deal. This, I think, is a game changer for families in San Francisco, that we will stop segregating our after-school program socioeconomically, so poor kids are in one, middle-class kids in another. That's unacceptable. And that's one of the things that I'd like to see fully implemented. That's one of the reasons I'm running for re-election. As well, I've been a huge advocate of arts education, and also 4 years ago, you might remember, that I said I was, one of the things that I thought was unfinished in San Francisco Unified was building the capacity to raise private money for public schools. Even though I characterize it as having been dragged kicking and screaming to the reality that the way we fund public services, you also need private money for public services. I think that, so we've done a lot of capacity building. We've done really well. We are getting significant private dollars, and I think in the right way, that is at our direction where they go, not the private funders. And we are poised now to start a $100 million capital campaign for the new Arts Center at 135 NS and the new Ruth Ozawa School of the Arts. I'd like to be on the board. I think I should be, to see that, put that shovel in the ground and hopefully cut the ribbon. That's another reason I'm running for re-election. But I want to say my highest priorities for the coming years are: 1, raising salaries and benefits for teachers. This is a tough thing to do. It means that all the people that came in here today and that you talked to about running for school board or getting reelected to the school board, they all have said, I want to do this, I want to do that. The 2 things I just told you I'm working on and want to see through are not things that cost us money. They're things that save us money. Right. I mean, it'll cost us money to build that arts center, but it's a huge benefit to our school district, and raising that private money, an appropriate use of private money for a capital campaign, is something that's going to be better for us financially in the future. So for the past couple of years, I've been saying that to my colleagues. I love these programs. We should find ways to invest in them. We should make them more efficient. But we shouldn't be investing in them now with money that we could spend on salaries, because we are behind. It is, first of all, as you know, it's almost impossible to live here for anybody, but second, we made a big push with our parcel tax and with our other efforts and to have competitive salaries. But we're losing ground now, and it's a greater need and less investment than we should be making. So that's my highest priority, and that includes, by the way, when I say all forms of compensation, I mean housing support too. I've been advocating for us building housing for about 15 years, and we've had opposition from other school board members in the past. Now it's so desperate, they've finally gotten there. And the second thing is that I want to see, actually I usually say that housing is the second thing, but now I think that goes with, that's compensation too. And then third, I want to see our vision, 2025, realize it's going to be hard. It isn't easy, but those are taking the rest of the steps toward our equity agenda, which is going to be a constant challenge. Last, I'll say this, I think that we need a new superintendent, and we need my experience and knowledge to help to balance out the wonderful, and I'm supporting my two colleagues who are running for re-election, young, enthusiastic, new voices we have on the school board. I think that I'm the only person on the board that's been through 2 searches, and we only have one person that's been through 1. So this is a tough thing to do also. So I hope you'll support me. I've been actually supported by this organization almost every time I've run, including at least once that I wasn't recommended, but came to the meeting and got the votes.
I think we're perhaps one of the few organizations where the recommendations aren't always a certainty with the group.
I will say, and hopefully it answers some of your questions, people characterize me as not progressive enough, which I find a little bizarre. I often say, when I set my foot outside San Francisco, people think I'm like the leftiest person on, because it's kind of true. And I've been the person, and I think we need that voice on the board too, that has steadfastly voted for and stood up for the